Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia, online, a congregation striving to embody courageous love, radical welcome, and deep connection. I am Jan Weaver, a member of the UU Green team, and I'm so glad to welcome you to our community. We are grateful in our online worship to be able to connect with many folks from Missouri and beyond. Wherever you are connecting, we welcome you. A few comments about protocol for today's online worship. We are in Zoom and streaming live on Facebook. We are in Zoom webinar mode, so we can't hear or see you. Feel free to eat your breakfast in your PJs, and don't worry if your day is a bit noisy. You will be able to say hello and to interact with the service through the chat feature on Zoom and comments on Facebook. If you're with us on Zoom, make sure you select panelists and attendees so that everyone can see your comment. This will be particularly useful if you wish to share a joy or sorrow when we reach that portion of the service. A few notes about accessibility. We are using Zoom's native auto captioning service, which means you will see automatically generated subtitles at the bottom of your screen. If you prefer, you can hide or alter the subtitles by clicking the closed caption button on your screen. We know that auto captioning is never entirely accurate, but we hope it is close enough to be helpful. We will also be providing spoken descriptions of the videos and images we use, and we'd like to invite you to please contact us if you have any other accessibility or inclusion needs that we can strive to meet in our online worship. If this is your first time worshiping with us, we'd like to invite you to fill out a digital visitor's card at the link provided in the chat. Let us know a little bit about you. Our minister, the Reverend Molly House-Gordon, is away on sabbatical until August 2nd, and we are honored during that time to be served by the Reverend Dr. C.W. Dawson as sabbatical minister. This morning, our worship will be led by members of the Green team, and I'd like to thank the folks that make our online worship possible. Thank you today to our online usher, Jenny Bosseler, and our worship associate, Todd Iveson. And as always, we are grateful to our amazing staff, April Rodiguero, running slides, Aaron Holly, preparing digital liturgy, religious educator, Jamila Batchelder, music director, Jeremy Wagner, and pianist, Hans Bridger-Hayruth. Would you please take a deep breath, find a comfortable position for your body, and sink into this time of inspiration and the space of renewal with the help of our musician. The worship theme for this month is Nurturing Beauty. Today, the members of the Green Team offer prose, poems, music, pictures, videos, and even activity to inspire you to use sight and sound to engage with the beauty of nature. We invite you to participate and kindle your own ability to connect with nature's beauty more deeply. We do this in the certain belief that we take better care of what we love and that we can only love in relationship. Come, enjoy nature's beauty with us and deepen your relationship with it. I invite you to join in singing Gather the Spirit with its composer, Jim Scott. You may follow the lyrics on the screen or in the chat.
Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power, our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour, our trials in this life appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Winter to spring, and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
We now light our chalice, the symbol of our faith and the community that holds us, and the bright flame of the human spirit that unites us. As we share an image of our church chalice on the screen, you may wish to light a candle at home or look in the chat for a digital chalice. Please join me in lifting your voices in homes across our city, country, and world to share our weekly words of affirmation shown on the slide and shared in the chat. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please join us in centering with a video meditation, Earth as the Original Cathedral by Christine Walters Painter. As she speaks, the video shows grass, a person stepping carefully on the earth, forests, waterfalls, birds flying, animals moving, people engaging with their eyes, touching the earth with fingers and toes, and flowers blowing in the wind.
May you find sanctuary among trees and stones, and feel earth preparing a place for you to sit and breathe and be. Let the long limbs of branches form a canopy above your head. Let the hills open up a place for you to soar. May the stones form an altar, and see how the sun makes everything shimmer and glisten, so that everything shines forth from within. Let the tender vine climbing the trunk show you what it is to reach to the sky. Let all the living creatures that gather, winged and four-footed ones, offer a new companionship. All around you, see yourself as part of this glorious cathedral. The lake and holy wells are the fonts of baptism. The river rushes carrying gifts down from the mountains. The oaks and sycamore create a sacred circle, the face of the Creator incarnate and immanent, illuminated with each gaze. Feel the veil between heaven and earth slip away until you know the sanctuary of soil and sunlight. Listen to the sky whisper her secrets on the wind, lifted by wings and song.
And now, as we share an image of lit candles and our joys and sorrows stones on the screen, I'd like to invite you to bring your loving attention and compassionate presence to our community as we share the joys, sorrows, and prayers of our community. Let us hold one another in heart across the distance, remembering our connections and feeling that we are held in love amid life's sorrows and joys alike, now and always. We have no joys and sorrows submitted through the website, but I invite those gathered to share your joys and sorrows in the chat where I will read them. Sam Otten, joy for a good yard and woods cleanup yesterday with our family. Nick Beauchard, sadness for a friend who is at end of life. Patty Doss, joy for hospital workers from MDs to environmental services. Angie Matthews Stewart, joy for True Faults working so hard to find a safe way for us to have a fest again this year. Carol Arnold, joyful for time working together with others at the church grounds yesterday. Victor Campbell Myers, joy in this moist spring with beautiful blossoming. Patty Doss, concerns. Keep my mom and dad in your prayers. Mom is recovering from an ICU stay. Sarah Ellis, joyful for safe gatherings with loved ones. For those whose joys are too private to share and whose sorrows too painful to speak, we hold you in sympathy in our hearts. Reverend C.W. Dawson, our sabbatical minister, has written this reflection and prayer for me to read this morning. On this day, as we celebrate the magnanimous wonders of the earth, we pause in reverence to mourn the loss of our brothers and sisters killed by tragic violence recently. Over 140 mass shootings have occurred within the past month, including the horrific shooting at the FedEx Center in Indianapolis. Our hearts were shattered as we observed the killings of Dante Wright and Adam Toledo by the police in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, and Chicago, Illinois. Our tears flow as we think of the shootings that continue in Columbia, Missouri. As residents in the Cathedral of the Earth, we join hearts and prayers for the families who suffer from senseless violence. In this moment of joys and sorrow, let us take a moment to remember all those who feel the pain of death on this day. Spirit of love, teach us to stop our violent ways and to replace hatred with love. Ground of being, Help us to live as good stewards of both the earth and our fellow brothers and sisters. Spirit of hope, as the spring brings promises of renewal, let our hands and hearts join together to create peace and reconciliation amid all the isms that divide us. And as a community, may we be agents for justice for the good of creation, so that one day all of humanity may sing as one choir in the cathedral of the earth. I'm going to lay down my sword and shield, down by the riverside, and study war no more. Let it be so, and amen. Our hymn of response is, I Walk the Unfrequented Road. Please refer to the lyrics on the screen and in the chat.
Hi, everybody. I'm a novice at this Zoom thing, and it's sort of intimidating. I'm sitting here in my front room, and then suddenly I'm talking to 60 people. It's a weird jump. Anyway, some reflections on beauty. I just thinking about this COVID time has been a struggle, but I found it's had some unexpected benefits. It's felt for me something like going back to my childhood, growing up in a small town on the southeast coast of England. There wasn't much entertainment, but we made things. Out of simple things, we made plenty of things to do. And it seemed like that to me during this COVID time. I've been doing Tai Chi at Twin Lakes 3 times a week, early in the morning, throughout the winter, however cold it is. But always when I'm there, I'm struck by the beauty of the lake. The lake and I have a relationship that changes from day to day, but it always makes me feel peaceful and grateful for being alive. Probably something to do with growing up by the sea, I would imagine. So this COVID isolation has helped me to find beauty in simple things, and particularly in my relationship with the natural world. Here's a few words from John O'Donohue. When the soul is alive to beauty, we begin to see life in a fresh and vital way. The old habits of seeing are broken. The coating of dead dust falls from the windows. Freed from the dead forms, the elements of one's life reveal a new urgency and possibility. We've often heard that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. This is usually taken to mean that the sense of beauty is utterly subjective. There's no accounting for taste because each person's taste is different. The statement has another, more subtle meaning. If our style of looking becomes beautiful, then beauty will become visible and shine forth in us. We will be surprised to discover beauty in unexpected places where the ungraceful eye would never linger. The graced eye can glimpse beauty anywhere. For beauty does not reserve itself for special elite moments or instances. It does not wait for perfection but is present already secretly in everything. When we beautify our gaze, the grace of hidden beauty becomes joy and sanctuary.
Now is the time in our service when we There are times of charm, folks. Now is the time in our service when we join in the spiritual practice of generosity, guiding our hearts away from the fear and scarcity all around us, and remembering that it is by sharing and supporting one another that we feel most human. This morning's offertory is The Oneness of Everything, written and performed by Jim Scott. The video shows Jim, a male-identified person with a light pink-hued skin and beige hair, wearing a brown polo shirt, singing and playing guitar. He's seated in front of bookshelves cluttered with books and other items, and there's a large microphone seen above and to the left of his head. Enjoy the music, and please give generously to our church through the link in the chat.
Far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind, there find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all who join in love expanding. The message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings, in the oneness of everything. Peace is in the dance of trees, who stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song, becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Like the sorrow of the clouds, whose tears fall carrying on the soil, undemanding. Lessons of love are given that we might rejoice in the music they bring, of the oneness of everything. From chords that sound of molecules spinning billions to a cell, the call resounds afar to the sun who warms the dancing earth, and whose song
holds it close on the journey of a star. Songs of lives long past that touch our own are written in the earth, forever giving. And now, to maintain the harmony, gives to us all lives worth living. For the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined, vast and immeasurable, time and space, all so overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years, just might I know the faith that winters in the heart, to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything. Thanks for listening. Hope you'll tune in tomorrow for a benefit concert, 3 p.m.
Instead of a homily or sermon, we have 5 short and very personal reflections on developing a relationship with the beauty of nature. The charge we gave ourselves was to pick a poem, a piece of prose, or some other kind of expression that made us feel closer to nature and to share it. We also had to explain our choice and provide an image that helped illustrate the feeling expressed in the piece. As we share these reflections, think about a time, a place, a collection of words, or an experience that you could share with someone to explain your relationship with the beauty of nature. Peter Holmes's choice was the short passage from John O'Donohue. Here we have reflections from Carol Simon, Roger Nettleton, myself, Kathy Nettleton, and Allie Gassman.
Good morning. I would like to read a poem by Dana Falls titled Black-Eyed Susans. I'm a fan of Dana Falls' poetry because her poems always give me a lift. And this poem reminds me to notice the beauty of nature in the simplest of things, a common flower. And you'll see a digital image of these flowers as I read the poem. Black-Eyed Susans. It's all here in this single stalk of black-eyed Susans. 24 small suns rising on a single stem. It's all here. The whole season of rain and dry days, the summer of sunlight, the waxing and the waning moon, crickets, spiders, and butterflies with stained glass wings. It's all here, buds and roots, drawing earth blood up through stalk and shoots, each blossom a universe, no galaxy greater than the ring of golden petals joined at the dark center. Answers not found in the fresh faces of the flowers are simply not worth seeking.
Morning. Some of us don't get out in the woods very often, or when we do, we lack the knowledge about the marvelous number and variety of plants and animals to adequately appreciate what we see. Sometimes it is the experience of being eaten alive by a swarm of insects that is the primary memory we bring home with us, and a resolve not to make that mistake again. We need something so unfailingly impressive to grab our attention and summon us outside to an appreciation of what the natural world can produce. Sunsets are one such phenomenon that almost never lets us down in our contemplation of nature. Anywhere you can see the horizon, or sometimes even when you can't, nature can overwhelm you with the fading light from the sun through the atmosphere and clouds in an inspiring sight to contemplate in its ever-changing beauty. You don't need any special knowledge or recent scientific discoveries to appreciate the wonderful colors, even as the shadows of the evening lengthen into darkness, as in the following description by John Ruskin. The reading is illustrated by a picture of a sunset with alternating streaks of gold, orange, and deep red shade to mahogany. The reading by John Ruskin, published in a volume of Pearls from Many Seas. Nature has 1,000 ways and means of rising above herself, but incomparably the noblest manifestations of her capability of color are in the sunsets among the high clouds. I speak especially of the moment before the sun sinks, when its light turns pure rose color, and when this light falls upon a zenith covered with countless cloud forms of inconceivable delicacy. Threads and flakes of vapor, which would in common daylight be pure snow white, and which give, therefore, fair field to the tone of light. There is then no limit to the multitude and no check to the intensity of the hues assumed. The whole sky from the zenith to the horizon becomes one molten, mantling sea of color and fire. Every black bar turns into massy gold, every ripple and wave into unsullied, shadowless crimson and purple and scarlet, and colors for which there are no words in language and no ideas in the mind. Things which can only be conceived while they are visible. The intense hollow blue of the upper sky melting through it all, showing here deep and pure and lightless, there modulated by the filmy, formless body of the transparent vapor, till it is lost imperceptibly in its crimson and gold.
I learned this activity from a friend, Kristen Schulte, who learned it at an outdoor education training. April is going to play a minute-long video of a black bird with red and yellow shoulders sitting on a stem and singing. The video is by Lang Elliott and Beth Bannister and is used by Mr. Elliott's kind permission. This video will play 3 times. The first time, I invite you, as quickly as you can, to finish the statement, "I notice," by typing it into the chat. As you do, read what others have noticed and see if you find the same feature or one related to it. Keep typing in "I notice" statements until the video stops. When the video plays a second time, finish the statement, "I wonder," as in, I wonder why the bird looks a certain way or is doing a particular thing. Again, read the other statements in the chat and use them to go a little deeper into your wondering. The last time the video plays, finish the statement, "It reminds me of." Like focusing on breathing to get in touch with one's inner self, you can use this simple activity to deepen your relationship with the world around you. Sometime this week, I hope you will pause and notice, wonder, and be reminded by something you find in nature.
Good morning. I'm always excited at this coming a spring and summer, and especially this year when we had spent so much time away from others. So this spring, I was very excited to see the daffodils coming up in our yard. Now, often with daffodils, it takes a year or two before that you plant them that you see very many flowers. And we had planted ours about 3 years ago, and it turned out to be a very good year for them. The weather was just right. It brought to mind the time I saw a whole field of daffodils. I'm not sure where it was, but I do remember that sight. Acres and acres of uncultivated daffodils. I found this poem by Wordsworth, which better describes that field of daffodils. The reading is illustrated with a picture of daffodils. The daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000, say I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils.
When our team decided to do a service centered around nature poems and prose, I immediately knew I wanted to read a poem by Naoma Powell. Naoma was an active UUCC member until shortly before her death in 2013 at age 87. She did the sanctuary decorations for us every Sunday for many, many years. Naoma was a gifted artist, and she made it her life's mission to teach art to people of all backgrounds and abilities. Every morning when I drink my tea out of a cup that my son made in one of Naoma's Access Arts pottery classes, I look out into the nature in our backyard before I go out into Kiwanis Park. The tea, the cup, looking out into nature, and then being in nature are what gives me the right start to each morning. Thank you, Naoma. My photo shows Gabriel's cup set in some leaves and with daffodils and other flowers around it. Invitation by Naoma Powell. Come walk with me in wood or field. I'll show you moss and fern concealed. I'll find you birds on foot and wing. In snow, in wind, by sun they sing. I'll help you find a shaded nook. From there we pause to take a look, to right or left or to the fore. Nor left nor right will show the more. To violets along the bank, to wood moss where a sparrow drank, or to the ridge along the hill where sound or silence is a thrill. By ponds or out where winds are free. Oh, come, my friend, and walk with me.
For our closing reflection, we've got another video by Christine Valters, painter, Earth as Original Liturgy. In the video, there are images of birds flying, a rose, a storm crossing the prairie, a stream, leaves and branches in the wind, fish, mammals, birds, grass waving, dolphins and zebras and groups, the pattern of sand dunes in the desert, a stingray, flowers blooming, a waterfall, clouds streaming across the sky, and a field of grain with a person facing the sun.
Listen to how everything sings. The streams and stones, leaves and branches, fish and fur-covered ones, birds leading the chorus. See how your desire to praise is echoed in every living thing. How in quiet moments the heart is moved to gratitude for all of creation, for the lavish abundance of it all. How nothing is earned, no achievements are needed. May you simply show up with breath, blood, and bones, and your loving attention to hymns erupting everywhere, until you can no longer tell where yours begin and nature's ends.
Please join us in singing our closing hymn, For the Beauty of the Earth. You'll find the lyrics on the screen and in the chat. Our closing words are from the Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Even now, especially now, you are not alone. We are with you across the distance. Go in blessing and be a blessing to the world that needs our care. Let us sing our benediction. Please join us at the link in the chat or the meeting ID on the slide for coffee hour, when we get a chance to see each other's faces and catch up in small breakout rooms. Thank you for spending a part of your morning with us, and have a wonderful day.